For men who never received any kind of romantic success, for men who have gone their entire life without experiencing anything sexual, the idea of fatherhood is laughable to them. It really is. Or to us, right? Because I am also included in that. I am a guy who's never experienced that. And I'm just sitting here thinking about it. If most men in Gen Z who are in their early 20s, right? If most of us are single virgins who are spending our lives locked inside our rooms or apartments or houses, what is that going to look like in 20 years' time or 10 years' time? How is society going to be affected by that? People don't ask those questions. Right now, the male loneliness epidemic is laughed at. It's not taken seriously. It's not seen as a threat to society in any way, right? And as a guy who's average, as a guy who is rejected and not heard by society, all I can do is just sit and wait and see how it unfolds, pretty much. I can't do anything, really. I can make a video about it, but what is that really going to change? We are entering a really fucked up dystopian future. We really are. So either most men are going to become asexual, or I don't know. I just can't keep asking questions. I can't keep pondering on this shit I just can't. It's so bizarre to me, but yeah, man, fatherhood is a fantasy for most men because most men literally can't obtain a partner if they tried. And it's not due to a lack of trying. It's due to the fact that standards are just so unrealistic and no one wants to really change it. People feel like they don't have to change it. People feel like they are owed some 10 out of 10 person, whether it's a guy or a girl. It makes no fucking sense to me. See, back in the days of old, where we all existed as a tribe and as small villages, standards were very, very realistic. That's why you would see some short, bald guy who's not attractive facially. You will see that guy with like a decent woman, right? And it was natural. Whereas nowadays, it's like, good luck trying if you fit if you fit that description, good luck. Even a guy like me, even my description, someone who's short, below average facially. Yeah, I may have hair on my head, but I'm really nothing I'm not aesthetically pleasing, right? Or just a guy like me also who has got years of trauma from bullying and social neglect. It's very laughable whenever I'm asked a question by my family. So, when are you going to start a family? Are you dating anyone? Are you still a virgin? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, imagine trying to explain to your parents or your siblings that I'm an excess male. And they're going to be like, what's an excess male? And then you have to take them down the BP rabbit hole. And that's a fucking joke. Not the BP, but the idea of doing that is a joke. Why would I do that shit? So I just laugh at that. I just laugh to myself and I lie like I always fucking do. But I'm pretty sure most of you have that same experience. People just don't understand it. They think it's a skill issue. They think that we're not trying hard enough. But society just doesn't want to change its shallow nature. It's so hopeless in a sense. So that's what I'm saying. Is it natural for most men to become asexual in the future who are virgins now? If you're a virgin now and you're 20-something years old, you're a virgin, no female gives you the time of day, you're constantly rejected, called ugly, is it logical to become asexual by the time you're 30, really? Because how long can you just desire a group of people who don't desire you? How long can you do that? Because realistically, and I have to take this advice as well, sooner or later, we are going to have to find purpose outside of dating. I know it's a human instinct or it's human nature to desire and crave intimacy. We desire a tribe of our own, but most of us will never have a tribe of our own, no matter how hard we try. Like, you have to understand that. It's not pessimism, or it's not a defeatist mindset. It's not self-pity. It's just facts. It's logic. Most people just go without. And what destroys a man is not the situation they're placed in per se. It's how they handle it. It's really how they handle it. You know, it is about time that young men around my age, 22 and up, right? I'd say like 27 or late 20s. It is about time that we start to view things objectively. You know, take a look at our social climate and really ask yourself, do I see myself obtaining a partner in today's world where even the average woman is going to call you ugly and reject you and tell you that you have to do such and such to your body in order to be attractive to her, where she is unhealthy and overweight and not the best looking, but the roles just don't apply to her? And it's not to bash women. I'm just being realistic and being truthful. Most of the women who call me ugly are my looks match. And they're overweight. But society places them on a pedestal and allows them to be superficial and judgmental. So where you have that going on, and then you also have a generation of men who are just not liked to begin with. Just not liked. And when you are a guy, and people say, move on from your trauma, move on from bullying, move on, school was such and such years ago. Like, you won't tell a woman who was SA'd, you can't tell a woman who was assaulted to move on. But you'll tell a guy who was assaulted in school every day of his life to move on. And you may say, it's not comparable. Bro, trauma is trauma. Do you know how many men in life who have deleted themselves because of trauma that happened or occurred during their childhood? So it is comparable to me. So you have a generation of men who were bullied and neglected growing up, and it creates mental problems to where they don't feel comfortable in social settings. They don't feel comfortable really engaging socially, or when they do, it's still the same outcome, the same result. So how can they be family men if society doesn't even want them around? I know from my experience, no one wants me around. Society does not want me to be around. Showing face for me is a death sentence. That's why I am a hermit. And people say, you know, people always, well, I have to give credit where credit is due. Tahana said this in a video. He said, people judge us for the effect, but they don't look at the source of why we do things, right? So, for example, people will look at me and say, well, that's your problem right there. You don't have a girlfriend or a family because you stay inside all day. I stay inside all day because that's the effects of rejection. That's the effect of being neglected socially. And that's some real shit that he said, because, you know, that's true. That's why most men don't even engage anymore. That's why most men don't see it as, you know, it's not a possibility for them, because, or it's not realistic to even try at this point. So to get back to what I'm trying to say, you have to look at this world objectively. So maybe at a certain point, like, I'm not saying give up in a way, but like, sometimes I wonder, man, like, what are we really missing out on? Like, are we missing out really? Some days I question that. Like, are we missing out some days? That's what I feel like, you know, on some days, man, because it's like, is it worth it really even anymore? Is it worth it? That's why I say, like, be objective. Be objective. Life without romance, you know, it can be hard for some men to conquer. But when you are left with no other option, what do you do? That's my question to you. What do you do then? If it's over, like you say it's over, because I know it's over for me. And again, I do get days where I'm down in the dumps about it, but most days I'm like slowly coming to terms with it, slowly, because that's all I can do. And I am also really starting to realize that this hopeless love quest that many of us have been on for our entire lives, it has caused us nothing but depression, frustration, resentment, all of the above. For me, it has given me nothing but insecurities. It's led to me being rejected numerous times. It is nothing but a negative, stain on my life, if that makes sense. That's nothing, it's nothing but negativity for me. Anytime I try to obtain love, it's just pain. Nothing but pain. So that's why I'm starting to value my mental health more. Back then, I was very neglectful. I didn't care. I don't care now, really, to a degree. I don't really care. But more so, I'm trying to say that, I don't know, man. Like, it's so hard to articulate. It really is, but maybe I'm just adapting. Every man is different. Some men don't adapt, but me, I feel like I'm slowly adapting to it. And I just feel like when you're a guy like me who is constantly having mental breakdowns at work, you're constantly just contemplating harming yourself in that way, you get tired of that shit. Like, it gets tiring. So if I can have a peaceful mindset because I'm not trying to look for a partner, if not looking for a partner can give me mental peace, I'll take that. Right? Because accepting it is easier than dealing with the rejection. For me, it is. I can deal with acceptance, but not the rejection part. So, yeah, I'm just really valuing my mental, my sanity. My sanity is very important to me at this state. Because, again, I'm tired of having just mental breakdowns. I'm tired of just crashing out mentally, man. That shit hurts. Like, mental pain is fucking torture, bro. I can't cope with that. That I can't cope with. I can't cope with the feelings of being neglected and just being ridiculed all the time. I can't deal with that. I just can't. So that's why I'm saying, man, at a certain point, you guys have to understand that it's not worth the mental pain. It's not. If you can deal and tolerate the mental pain and maybe try to fight and get a girl or do something, be a father, then, I'm happy for you, man. But I don't know, man. I can't do that shit. I'm not willing. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that at all. And to further elaborate on the fatherhood thing, now that I have gotten older and I am 22 years old now, I can't help but compare myself to my father. Because when my father was my age, he was married, he had my older brother, he had me, and he was having more kids throughout his 20s. He was just having that family guy experience. Meanwhile, I am 22 years old. I am sexless. I have no romantic success. I never will. Just that gap between me and my father, it's really hilarious. It really is hilarious to think about. It's funny to think about how you can be a guy who is successful, have a son, and your son can turn out to be an excess male, and your son can be a loser. All because of natural selection or genetics, whatever it may be. And it's very funny. It really is funny. Like, wow. And my grandfather, he had my dad when he was 19. So for generations, the men in my family started their tribes early. And they had no problem obtaining romantic, romantic lives. They had no problem obtaining partners, is what I'm trying to say, right? And then you get to me, and I just destroy the entire legacy that they have built up for years. I destroyed the entire legacy because I am a failure, you know? So yeah, that's funny. That is very hilarious. That's the joke, or that's the punchline, or whatever. You know? Man, that's fucked up when you think about it. It is fucked up. But yeah, like I said, I compare myself to my dad because I want what he had. In my own way, obviously. Who doesn't want to come home from a long day's work, a long warehouse shift? You come home to a beautiful wife in the suburbs, and you have beautiful children, and they look up to you, they admire you. You are their hero, just like my dad is my hero, and so on and so forth. Like, who doesn't want that shit? You get to lay down in a warm bed with your loving wife. You get to feel her skin. You get to feel her body heat. Like, you get to take showers together. You get to plan trips with the kids. Like, you could, like, Disney World, Universal Studios, the beach. Like, you get to give your kids the life you never had. You also get to have a great holiday experience. I envy Kevin McAllister's father from Home Alone. That scene in Home Alone 1 where the entire family is together for Christmas. They ordered a shit ton of pizzas, and it's just, bro, it's so fucking blissful to watch that scene. Like, honestly, that is my favorite scene in Home Alone 1. The very first opening, like, the opening scene is my favorite scene in that film. It really fucking is, bro. It's so blissful to watch that family be together. Like, oh my goodness, man. I want that so bad. Fuck, man. Yeah, so, I understand, man. Who doesn't want that shit, but in today's world, you have to be objective. Yeah, my bad. I'm getting flustered, but you have to be realistic. All right, man. Yeah, bro. But fuck it. It's over, man. Take care, guys.